Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you all for coming to our Sunday program. Is anyone here for the first time tonight? Please raise your hand. Thank you for coming. We hope you enjoyed the evening. And our temple president will offer you a free gift for your first coming here when the class is over during announcements. Anyone else here for the first time? Okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. I got a lot of new people here tonight. We hope you join our family. Our family is meant to assist everyone in their efforts to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by so doing, perfect their lives. We generally sing a song, Jaya Radha Madhava, before the class. And if I stop halfway through, my voice is pretty worn out from talking all day today, so maybe you'll have to help me along. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiro Vanachari. Yamuna Tiro Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I was thinking today to read maybe 2 verses from the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This chapter is entitled Karma Yoga. And this Karma Yoga, the word karma comes from the root word kriyate, which means to do or to act. And so all of our activities, all of our actions, that which we do, that which we perform, is meant to be done in yoga or connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And so this Karma Yoga is the beginning process of Bhakti Yoga, because there's Karma Yoga when done in reference to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and in the mood of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It slowly becomes purified from just doing material things without any spiritual result. We connect our material activities, our daily activities, in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by so doing, we free ourselves from so many disturbances that come along with this world. The verse I chose, there's 2, and it's the last 2 verses. Indriya pranayahur, indriya paramana, manasa tu parabat budhir, yo bude paratas tusa. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and the soul is even higher than the intelligence. Does anybody remember the 4 things we just discussed? There were 4 things listed. The senses are superior to material body. The mind is superior to? Very good. And the intelligence is superior to? And the soul is superior to the intelligence. So this is reference to our actual identity in this world. We are all eternal parts and parcels of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maimaya Vangso, Jiva Loka, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. This is our Sanatana. This is our eternal position as individual parts and parcels of that Supreme Being. And in so, we're meant to reconnect ourselves to that Supreme Being through the process of engaging in the service of the Lord. I was just listening to a friend give a talk up in near Chicago, and we were talking about the idea of how we can come in contact with the Supreme Lord. Our founder, Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, would often speak heavily on the scientific endeavor to understand the nature of this world because it presumes that there's no God. And what that means is that anything that they can't control doesn't exist. They have to be able to get that which they accept within their purview of their experimental area. And the Supreme Lord is way above that. And so by denying the idea that there at least is a possibility of a Supreme Being eliminates one's ability to understand them. Just like, just imagine you take Krishna or you take the Supreme Personality of Godhead and you do something like a scientific experiment. What do they do on scientific experiments? They have a controlled environment. If you have a mouse, you put the mouse in a controlled environment, you feed it certain things, you don't let it sleep, you do whatever you do, that mouse is completely under your control, and then it will do things which you subject the mouse to do. But there's no possibility of someone doing that to someone greater than him. The example we give many times, say for example, you want to go to a university. You want to get further your education, and you want to go to a university. Now, if you want to go to the university in and of itself is greater than any individual. The university as itself, it's an institution, it's a monolith of buildings, it's there. And if we want to approach that university, to get acceptance into that university, we have to follow the protocol that the university sets forward to being accepted in that institution. It's not like you can go to the kitchen and find the cook and say, I'd like to get admission to UT Dallas, UT Arlington, UT Austin. You can't go to the kitchen department. You can't go, practically speaking, you can't even go to any individual teacher or professor because it's done through the admissions department. And so we go to the admissions department because that's the process by getting it, that we can get into that entity which is greater than us. And in the same way, if we want to understand our eternal relationship with that Supreme Being, then there's a protocol for doing that. There's a simple process by which we can awaken our eternal dormant love for God and enter into the realm of that divine service to that Supreme Being. That process is known as here being described as karma yoga or bhakti yoga. These processes are there so that we have an entrance point. We have an entrance point, and it begins with Shraddha, faith. Begins with faith. That without faith, everybody here has faith. There's not anyone in this room that doesn't have faith. You may not have faith in me, you may not have faith in the door, but you have faith in something. Just like if you're in this building, you have faith that the roof's not going to cave in. Otherwise, you wouldn't come into the room. You have faith that the floor is not going to all of a sudden, well, maybe it would have an earthquake, but not in Dallas. It's going to crunch and cave in and gobble up all the members here. And so the idea is faith is a constant. There's that thing where Aristotle would say that that idea of infinite regress, which means that what caused that? In other words, if you have faith, why do I have faith? What caused that? And what caused that? And so it's known as infinite regress, where you have to accept certain things as axiomatic truths, that which are evident, just like we hold these truths to be self-evident. The Constitution, these truths to be self-evident, that everyone is endowed by their creator with certain rights. And so that is that's an axiom that everyone will accept. So if we can enter into the process of understanding our relationship with the Supreme, with faith that that Supreme Being actually exists, then we have the ability to begin the process. The process begins with faith. Faith is generated and increased by the association that one has. If you're a business person, you associate with business people to get a better idea on how to run the business. If you're a medical person, you associate with medical people. If you're a builder or a construction person, you associate with all those things. If you're a sports person, you associate with other people who are playing sports. I just saw in the headlines of the news that there's a new kind of pitch. They invented a new, not the curveball, not the knuckleball, not the slider, but it's a new kind of pitch, and the ball goes like this, and all of a sudden it just drops down. So you want to know how to do that? You have to go to the pitcher and learn how to put your fingers on the ball to get it to drop at the base. And so everything is learned by another person. And if we could only learn the art of actually valuing everyone that we have association with. In other words, if we can approach each and every individual as if that they do have something of value, and that I may also have something of value, which we can cooperatively work together. This process of bhakti yoga, with the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, is known as a spiritual science. It's a science that has been developed for thousands and thousands of years. It's not a new, a spin on the baseball. This stuff is like centuries and millennia being practiced over and over again, and has repeatedly been given or has given the same result. Science means we have our idea or hypotheses, we run some experiments, and we get a result. That's science. Hypothesis, theory, experimentation, and result. Anybody remember that from science class? You have that system. But it's not science until you can replicate it several thousand times, and then they accept it as true. And here we have a situation where for thousands of years, people have been engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and have reduced their stress, their anxiety, their needs that the heart, they call it the heart space of the heart space of the soul, which is inside the soul resides within Hridaya, what's that verse? Hridaya, that the soul resides within the heart. And there's a space there. And one of the interesting things is that space in the heart needs to be filled like every other space that the heart has. The heart has so many different things. I'll give an example. There's true confessions from the Swami on the chair. One time, it's like 30 years ago, our temple president was 14 or 15 years old, 15 years old, not 15 years ago. And he was a student in my school, the school I was associated with. And I went to Sports Authority to buy a sweatshirt. I'm in Sports Authority. I don't know if they still have that store or not, but I'm in Sports Authority, and I'm sitting there looking for a sweatshirt. I only like sweatshirts with zippers because I have to be able to adjust the temperature. I can't just have something suffocating me. So I'm looking at the sweatshirts. And if everybody been to Sports Authority, they have very narrow aisles in the apparel section. And so there was a girl and her mother that I couldn't see, but I could hear, like a little aisle away. And the girl goes, "Mom." And when I heard that, my heart cracked. Because I'm a sannyasi. I have nobody calling me mom. I have no one calling me dad. I have no children. And that part of the heart which is meant for the child is vacant. And I felt that vacancy, and it practically knocked me off my feet. In fact, it didn't knock me off my feet, but I literally had to sit down. I went to the shoe department, sat down in one of those shoes places, and I had to ponder. I had to ponder because I'd been a renunciate at that point for 20-some years. And that was 25 years ago. So now it's 45 years. And so as I was sitting there, I said to myself, self, this is real. This isn't artificial. There's something there. There's some need there. There's a certain, just like we need water, we need food, we need air, we need so many different things. So our nature, our makeup is that we have certain things that we're meant to experience in this world that need to be satisfied. And one of them is the affection and the love that a parent gives to the child and the child reciprocates to the parent. And so I sat down and I prayed. And I told my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, I have given this life to you. I have no other reason to not do that other than the fact that if this isn't filled some other way, that may become an impediment for my engaging or my decision to make this vow of celibacy and sannyas. And I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed. And then they said, the store is about to close in 10 minutes. And so that spot in the heart is real. In the same sense, the spot in the heart that the soul exists has a spiritual need, inasmuch as we have material needs. Like I was saying, air, water, different foodstuffs, relationships, so many different things. When we really think about it, we're totally dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is giving us all of these material facilities to exist in this world, even though we're in a rebellious condition, denying our existence with the Supreme Lord and taking things without giving in return. And so we are indebted to the Supreme Lord. He's giving us everything. And as we return, as we give in return, then we become filled. Because the soul, inasmuch as the body needs things, the soul needs devotional service to the Lord. It is satisfied. Susukam kartam avyam. It said that this process of devotional service is joyful. It's joyfully performed. And one gets actual vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through direct perception of the Lord. And amazingly enough, the verse starts out that this is the king of education, Rtadhvaja. Then Rajaguyam means it's the king of religion, and it's the most secret of all secrets. And here's Krishna telling the secrets. Krishna made it the secret. It's a secret thing. Because when one gives their heart to the Supreme Lord, in reciprocation for that, the Supreme Lord gives us his heart. That's a natural reciprocal relationship. It's not like you can say, I love you, I love you, I love you, but you don't really love them. You just love yourself, thinking that everybody's loving you because you're lovable. That's a little narcissistic catch right there. You got to just pay attention. We say all these things because we want people to love us, but what we're actually doing is we're loving ourselves, or we're promoting ourselves, which is actually a real sign of vanity, which hasn't been so much awakened with most people. We see it to be true. I find it true in myself, practically on a daily basis. Because we walk around here in this world with the conception that I'm the center. Here I am in the middle of the world. It's a famous story. Our founder and Tamal Krishnamars, whose picture is on the second shelf down, they were together, and He was one of the leading managers of our society. And Prabhupada was telling him, in this whole universe, there's millions and billions, what's the next word? Trillions? Trillions of planets. And in each planet, there are different aspects. Like on the Earth, there's how many continents? 7? 7 continents? And in each and every continent, there are so many countries. And in each and every one of those countries, there's so many states. And within those states, there are so many communities or counties, like we have Dallas County. Within those counties, there's so many cities. And within the cities, there's so many neighborhoods. And within so many neighborhoods, there happens to be one Tamal Krishna Maharaj living here at Gurley Avenue in the Kalachandji Temple, and he's thinking the whole world is revolving about him. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, defeated. He was being asked to do something. Famous story. And so this is the what we can call like the byproduct of our misidentifying ourselves to be something that we're not. And this is well, we call it insanity to a certain degree, which I've given that example many times. If you think you're something that you're not, you're crazy. I'm a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. My spiritual energy, my spiritual personality is being filtered through this material body, which has nothing to do with me. It's just a dead vehicle to be utilized by the soul. Because as soon as the soul leaves, this body takes on its nature. Because matter is temporary and spirit is eternal. Nasato vijite bhavo, na bhavo vijite sataha. That which is spiritual is eternal. And that which is temporary, that which is material, is temporary. So the body takes on its nature as soon as the soul is gone. And so the idea is, going back, is to facilitate ourselves by understanding the sublime process of invoking, or not the word revoking, revitalizing, regaining our lost relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that has to be done with great care and attention. If I've given this example a couple of times, that if you want to reestablish a relationship with someone that you love, you have to pay attention to that relationship. What garden grows the most? The one that's taken care of. And if you have relationships that have been broken for some reason, and you want to regain that relationship, you have to put a lot of space and energy and time into that relationship for it to work. And you can't be distracted. We'll say, for example, you have a relationship with your spouse, and there's something that's gone wrong, or your girlfriend, or your children, or your boyfriend, whatever it may be, and something's gone to the side. You can't allow other things to come in the way of that. You can't have, well, let's put it point. You can't have a Powerball on the side at the same time trying to reestablish your relationship with the one that's your spouse. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And in the same way, we have to give up our affinity for our relationship to this material world. We have to reduce that relationship that we're trying to exploit and fill the heart space, the soul space of the heart, with material acquisitions and material relationships, material things, all those different things that can't fill that spot in the heart. So the process is given right here. If you can understand these things, that we are higher than the intelligence. The intelligence is higher than the mind. The mind is higher than the senses. And the senses are higher than dull matter. If we go through this commentary a little bit, we'll find out that the senses are higher than dull matter. And the sense objects themselves are stronger than the senses. And the mind is stronger than the sense objects. And the intelligence is stronger than the mind. And the soul is stronger than the intelligence. Anyone, raise your hand if you've ever walked by a pizza parlor and had water come in your mouth. Raise your hand if you've ever walked by a bakery, a donut shop, and had saliva come into your mouth. The sense objects are pretty strong. They're pretty strong, you know. Sometimes, I mean, you see people, they're driving down the road, they'll see some Kalachanji's restaurant, and you'll see people up here making a U-turn coming in because they can smell the pakoras cooking in the restaurant. You just make a U-turn because the sense objects are stronger than our senses, and it's very, very difficult to control. It's so difficult to control. Bhogaishvaram prasaktanam trayapita chetasam, that those who are too attached to material opulence and material sense gratification, the resolute determination to become absorbed in our relationship with the Supreme Lord is very, very difficult. So those things must be extracted. And by extracting those things, vishaya vinivartante nirahara shidenam. That while giving up our relationship with those objects of the senses, though that taste for those objects remains, but if we can give up those objects of sense gratification and utilize the senses themselves in the occupation that the senses can be used for engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, then param dvistvani vartante. We get a higher taste. We can get a higher taste from engaging the same type of engagement in the service of the Lord that we would if we were engaging in the material senses. This process elevates. It's an elevation, and we gain that higher taste. You want to hear my analogy that I've given 100 times? When I was a little boy, I had a tricycle. You've heard this one, right? It's a replay. It's still good. You have a tricycle, and I was pretty passionate, young man, you know, little boy, really passionate, and I would tear up the house with my tricycle. And my mother would say, Maharaj, if you don't settle down, if you don't behave yourself, I'm going to take your trike away. And I'd settle down and, you know, behave. And then later on, I had a bicycle. And if I was tearing around the house or doing something improper, then my mother would say, Maharaj, if you don't behave yourself, I'm going to take the trike away. And I would say, I don't care, I got a bicycle. I have a higher taste now. I have something that I can gauge that will give me something better than the tricycle could give me. Of course, later on, they bought me a car, and, and everything went to hell. That's what happens. Don't give a teenager a car, even if they beg. Now the teenagers are going to have a mass protest out in front of the Kalachanjis. So any thoughts or reflections so far? Anything that I've said that perked your attention? Perked a question? Or something that you'd like to add on to that would enhance the discussion?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So intelligence is higher than the mind, right? That's what. And so, is intelligence completely at material platform, or through the yoga process that intelligence becomes spiritual?
Yeah,
that allows us to know the soul.
Bhumir apo analo vayu kama buddha evacha. Earth, water, fire. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, then false ego, false identification. So the intelligence is there. Actually, in this chapter, it gives a very, very good Indriya Mana Indriyamana. Yeah. Indriyamana budhir asat uchate eter vimohayat esha jnana adritya dehinam. The senses, the mind, the intelligence are the sitting places for calm, lust, desire. Through them, this lust or desire covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So this desire for sense gratification. Let me just remind me, I'm on this verse. I'm going to give an example of why the sense desire is so very, very strong. Because the desire for sense gratification is a perverted reflection of prema. In the spiritual realm, we have a type of love called prema bhakti, which is ever increasing, just all the good things. It's just ever increasing, and the happiness, the bliss, the encouragement, everything is just growing and growing and growing. But because we have free will, and we have the ability to misuse our free will, we do, and we think, I can be happy without my relationship with God. And we fall from the spiritual realm into the material world. And as we fall, that natural love that we have for the Supreme Lord is transferred into lust or desire for material sense gratification. And because that nature is to be fulfilled on a spiritual way, it doesn't work in the material world. It just doesn't work here. So the intelligence can become purified. I'll just read a little bit of the commentary because it's really cool. The enemy, lust or desire, has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. You have to know where the enemy is. I mean, I was just listening. Prabhupada, our founder, was giving a audio lecture, and he was saying previously, when battles were going on, it was only warriors. It was nobody else was on the battlefield. Somebody could be milking his cow or plowing the field or building a shed or whatever. He had nothing to do with the war. He just knew whoever won the war, that would be the new king. Right? And so nowadays we don't know. We don't know where the enemy is. Sometimes we say the enemy is within, but that's another process. I mean, it's the same process that we can deal with Krishna consciousness, but it's another topic. And so we want to know where the enemy can be found. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses. Understand? So we're talking about basically the knowledge acquiring senses. There's 11 senses. There's 5 knowledge acquiring senses: taste, smell, sight, hearing, and touch. These are our knowledge acquiring senses. And what those knowledge acquiring senses do is they bring information into the mind. So the mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, and thus when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all the ideas of sense gratification, and as a result, the mind and senses become repositories of lust. In other words, it's just building up. It's kind of building up. It's building up. And here's one of my favorite sentences. Next, it's kind of like it's like a, what would you call it? Architectural design here. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next-door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire false ego and identify himself with matter, and thus with the mind and the senses. We give up our identity as spirit soul, part and parcel of God. I'm my mind. You ever see that? Sometimes you can you can be in a group of people and you can just see some person is just like the mind's got them in like a vice grip or something, just like one of those things, and the mind is just being crushed by the pressures of the material world. And so, getting back to your question, the idea is that the intelligence duty is, see, the mind's business is the center of activities, and what the mind does, it just works according to the modes of material nature, and it tells us, I like this, I don't like that. According to goodness, passion, and ignorance, I don't just, I sent out an email today, a text out today, because I send something out every week to ladies that are carrying babies. And this week, the baby is the size of an eggplant from one person. The other one, it's a head of lettuce. And so, just say, for example, I don't like eggplants. I mean, I don't mind them, but just say I don't like eggplants. My mind just tells me, don't go to the eggplants. If they have eggplants in the College Engines restaurant, I'll take the one before that's got the broccoli and the carrots. Because my mind tells me I like broccoli and carrots. So I'm gravitating towards particular things that my mind is telling me to do. And I think I'm choosing, which is really whole nother story. Prakriti, Kriyamana, Niguna, Karma, Nisarva, the bewildered spiritual, under the influence of the modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities, which is just being pushed by the modes of material nature to choose the broccoli and carrots over the eggplant, because the mind tells you don't like eggplants, and it tells you like broccoli and carrots. We're not doing anything, actually. We're just following along with the modes of material nature. And so this point here of the intelligence, through the process of devotional service, we have this nice verse, Chaita Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahanya Nivarpanam. Through the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, one can clear up all the debris or the dust that has been accumulated on our heart, our spirit soul, for millions and millions of lifetimes. And it cleanses it away. And so through the process of devotional service and getting an understanding, because two things are necessary, knowledge and renunciation. These two things are there. And renunciation follows knowledge. Because if we can understand that I'm not this material body, I'm not these senses that are demanding so many things, I can step aside from those things. I can remove myself from those things by my intelligence. Just like if I tell you that you can't say fire in a movie theater. You have a cup of water, and I say that water comes from a contaminated place. You hear it, you believe it, and you don't drink the water. So in the same way, we hear different things. That by engaging our senses in sense gratification, we're never going to find the happiness, because that's not the part that fits in the soul state of the heart. It's a misfit. And so when we hear these things, we can then begin to act upon that intelligence, utilizing the intelligence. The mind is just to discriminate. The intelligence is the one that makes the plan what to do. And if the intelligence becomes purified, then we can engage the mind and become more engaged. The intelligence actually becomes purified. The same process that the senses in the mind and everything. Spiritual intelligence, we can basically come to the point where we no longer, I think the Bible says, of the world, but not in the world, but not of it. This is our goal. This is one of our goals, to be able to live within this material world, but not be under the influence of the modes of material nature in this world. Don't allow ourselves to be pushed around. I just had a little something on my notes in on my phone, and it was oh yeah, I was looking up this verse, beginning of the 13th chapter, because I read that today. And equanimity is one of the the word is samanvita. It means equal, equanimity. We're equal. We're equal-minded. And so it says that equanimity means a non-reactive. Non-reactive. It means responsive, not reactive. Reactive is a mode of passion. And in the Bhagavad Gita, when you hear about the different modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the result of passion is greed. And so if we can have a non-reactive type mentality, strive to remain calm in both success and failure, and celebrate wins modestly, and learn from setbacks. This is equanimity. We have so many things, just like matas pashas tukuntaya sitasnas, that happiness and distress, they come from they come from the sense. Our senses are telling us that, and one must learn to tolerate them. Sometimes we just say, okay, I can tolerate. It's too hot. I just have to tolerate. But if my boss gave me a promotion, or my boss gave me, what do they call that, incentive, something like that. Oh, wow, great. Not that I have to tolerate that. That has to be tolerated also. Everything must be tolerated. We need someone at the back door, Nishinga. And so this idea of spiritualizing ourselves. We want to spiritualize our activities. There's a nice verse that correlates with this idea of karma yoga. Yet kadoshi, yet asnasi, yet jehosi dadatiya. Whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we give away, whatever austerities we perform, we do that as an act of devotion to the Lord. In other words, we live a purposeful life. Without spiritual life, it's very difficult to have a very steady purpose. Material purposes, they're temporary. Spiritual purposes can be eternal. What's that? Nehabi karmanastasti pachavayo navijite. A little advancement on this path of devotional service can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So even if one does just a little tiny thing in the service of the Lord, then what they can do is that's a permanent spiritual asset in the spiritual bank account. It's a permanent spiritual asset in the spiritual bank account, and it can't be taken away. Can never be taken away. So we want to live a progressive life of engaging all those things, yet karoshi, yet asnasi, yet jehosi, dadatiya. That what we do, we give away, that's what we eat, austerities. Everybody performs austerities. People have to get up and go to work. You have to get up and go to the gym. There's so many things we have to do. And those things, when they're dovetailed in the service of the Lord, with remembrance of the Lord, remembering the Lord as the ultimate purpose of my life, is to regain my relationship with Him and not be disturbed and have some paramour of a material desire on the side while I'm trying to regain my spiritual loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. Okay. Now, thoughts or reflections, is that okay? Oh, no, wait a second. That was a 15-minute answer. Give the Swami a mic. Watch out. Did that help? Spiritualize the intelligence. Let the intelligence make the decision with knowledge. Just like the 4th chapter of the Gita says, when the sun rises up in the morning, everything becomes illuminated. And with spiritual knowledge, it's like the rising of the sun. All the darkness of the material energy, all the darkness of our material activities, our material attachment, material this, material that, they become exposed in the light. They become exposed in the light. And our intelligence can make the proper decision. I'm aspiring for that. I can honestly say that sometimes I aspire desperately, not desperately, but insufficiently, with losing the purpose, the goal of the purpose of my goal. And then I have to reflect. I have to reflect like the non-reactive. We have to just say, okay, I can learn from this. Just like a little child has the innate ability to walk. But when the child begins to walk, it stumbles and trips. But nobody says, hey, kid, forget it. You're never going to be able to walk. No, everybody's, no, do it again, Billy. Come on, Billy, try it one more time. Come on. I was just reading Leela Mrita, which is, Leela means pastimes of our spiritual teacher, Srila Prabhupada. When he first came to America, he was sponsored by Mr. Agarwal, who lived in Butler, Pennsylvania. And his father had requested him to send a, whatever you call that, form so that he could get passage into America. And he was living with this family. And he had a little boy named Brudge. And when Prabhupada was there, the boy took the first step. And the mom took a picture of Prabhupada. It's like he's smiling so much, and he's holding a little kid. Come on, go. Go, come on. In the same way, Srila Prabhupada is every day of our lives trying to inspire us and get us to take to the process of devotional service through reading the scriptures, attending to our meditational process of mala, japa mala, the chanting of the holy names, practicing living a life in the mode of goodness, free from illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. These 4 activities are the 4 pillars that are destroyed of our spiritual relationship with the Supreme Lord. Our spiritual life is on 4 pillars: cleanliness, austerity, mercy, and truthfulness. Almost forgot. And those 4 pillars are removed by illicit contact, gambling, meat eating, intoxication. They destroy our platform which we can hold our spiritual life on. It's a wonderful process. It's a loving process. It's a forgiving process. It's a joyful process. We get a lot of what do you call it? I don't want to use the word gratification, but we get a lot of encouragement when we see what point I was at prior to my beginning of chanting Hare Krishna, and to the point now 50-some years later, what has happened? What has happened? It's wonderful. Any more questions? I still have 12 minutes. I could answer one more. Thoughts or reflections? Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Oh, where? I don't see the hand. Oh, way in the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, welcome back to Dallas.
Thank you.
You spoke about how you were in the store and requesting the Lord to fill an unmet need of becoming a parent. And of course, you are all of our spiritual fathers, so the Lord fulfilled that. Can you speak a little bit more about that topic? Like, how do we know which needs that are unmet can be fulfilled by the Lord? And how do we know which are just material desires that need to be relinquished?
You hold the microphone just a little way away from your mouth, just a little ways, because it's distorting. So how can I explain how we can identify the places of our heart that aren't being satisfied, and to understand how they can be satisfied spiritually rather than materially.
How do we know which needs are unmet? Because and to pray to the Lord to help those needs, and how do we know which needs are just material desires that need to be relinquished?
Yeah. That question is quite good, and the answer is this process of devotional service, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, like we get engaging in seva service. And the service can either be here at the temple or in your home. It's not what do you want to call it, centralized. There's no, of course we like when everybody comes here to serve Radha Kalachandji. This is a focal point for the greater Dallas area. But it doesn't mean that you have to live in this building 24/7 the rest of your life. But what it means is that what we gain from our relationship with this building and also the institution that this building represents, and even though every institution has flaws, this institution also has flaws, and so we take that with us to our place of residence, our place of occupation, our family, wherever we're at, whatever it is, and we utilize that which we gain here in our own lives. And as we engage our lives in relationship to that supreme entity that everything comes from, knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness come from the Supreme Lord. And as we do that, just like I was saying, the end of the 4th chapter, when the sun rises, everything becomes visible. And as the sun rises in our heart, our heart space, which is meant for devotional service, and we engage that, and we pay attention. We're not passive, we're active. We're actively engaged in a process which is meant to rejuvenate our spiritual life. And by doing that, what happens is that we become aware of those things which are not connected, which I have not the ability to connect to Krishna, and those ones which I do have the ability to connect to Krishna. Sorry, you got blocked by the person in front of you. Go for Gita. And so, if I have the ability, just say, for example, I'm a musician. And I was a musician before I became a Hare Krishna. And I decided, on the first time I utilized my music abilities at a Sunday feast, I said, I can't dovetail this in the service of the Lord because it just brings back too many memories. And it's not auspicious for me to do that. It's better for me to remain distant from that until I have the purity of heart or the intention of heart to utilize that exclusively in the service of the Lord. Not maybe exclusively. Can we get something at the back door? Of the Lord. And this becomes revealed. And the ones which are not dovetailable will become obvious. And the ones which are will become obvious. And it's kind of like illumination. Like that verse says, it's like the sun illuminates everything when it comes up. And so in the same way, this process will illuminate us. And it will be able to tell us, or it will reveal to us just exactly what we need to do. Now the challenge, the challenge is honesty of heart. The challenge is honesty of heart. If I can have an honest heart and actually have the vulnerability to accept that which I am unable to do and to proceed with those things which I am able to do with enthusiasm, determination, and patience, then that will happen. It's not easy purifying ourselves. There's a commentary in I think it's the 14th or 15th verse or 16th verse of the 5th chapter. Due to our immemorial desire to avoid Krishna, we create our own bewilderment, and thus we blame God for our position in this material world. We don't take responsibility for ourselves, removing ourselves from the association of the Lord and finding ourselves in a position which is very uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable in this world, good. If you feel miserable in this world, good. If you feel ripped off in this world, better. If you want to get out of this world, best. It's not a vacation here. It's not a vacation. We have to take things seriously. But at the same time, Sasukam Kartamavyam, it is joyfully performed. Look at this association that we have here tonight. You know, we would give our life for these people. All these souls which are associating with us tonight. We would bleed our bodies dry to help them in their spiritual quest. We need to get the heart full of that type of compassion, which is irreversible when it comes to the point where we can be truly steady and have the opportunity to serve each other. Then it comes true. What do you think, Gopi Gita Ma? Thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So now we have 4 minutes left for our illustrious temple president. Before he begins announcements, I just pray that you all receive the blessings of all our previous acharyas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all the Vaishnavas or devotees of the Lord, so that your lives can become purified, glorified, and what would you say, rectified, and gone back home, back to Godhead. Thank you very much.
Hari Bo.